Hello, Sarah.
Hi, how are
Welcome to
you?
the calm before the fun. I'm good. I just wanted to get the episode title in because I'm so excited about it. Um, no, I'm great. I'm we are done with the semester. Just wrapped up, put a nice little bow on it, and
Feeling lovely and ready to relax a little bit,
yeah,
but then we know the fun's coming again real soon.
it's calm, yes. But the fun is coming.
Yes,
It's
how soon
so
is it coming?
we just looked, it's 1 month from today, which is nuts. It is
Yes,
so
so
funny
quick.
in this role because you go through these like ups and downs of it's so fun in the beginning, and then oh, we're in week 3 and 4, and we're doing real heavy duty learning and lifting, and then it starts to get like, oh, everybody's getting it, and it's so fun, and then you're like, oh, I got to get all the grading done and gonna give really good formative feedback, and then you're like, whew, and now right now I'm in the whew, we just did the big down part of the roller coaster, and we're coming back in. That's my
Yes, yes.
analogy.
A roller coaster is a really great way to describe
Yeah.
it. And so we're kind of starting to go up that next hill on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
We're like, ah, and then going up.
Yeah. So you and I, like we had said before, get the luxury of being able to work together next semester in our class. Um, so I thought in this episode, we could talk about kind of where we are right now, where we are mentally, and then kind of what we're looking at for the next, where we want to dig in the next few episodes. And you work as a clinical faculty, but you also are course professor extraordinaire, like we have said. Um, so right now, just from a perspective of, so people who are watching this who are clinical faculty understand where's your head right now as a course professor who's going to teach a clinical course next semester?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, as soon as I know who the school has hired for my course, starting to reach out, communicate to them, but I have to have a schedule together. And I have to have really clear kind of general overview of what that schedule is going to look like because all of our clinical faculty are working nurses. They need a
Right,
schedule. So, we
right.
sent that out, mid-semester. And so trying to get that out as soon as possible so that people have a general idea is huge.
Yeah,
And then introducing myself is also really important. Thinking about things from last year and the last time we taught this together that we want to try to incorporate. And that is a really important point of where clinical faculty feedback is so important. We try to
right.
debrief with the clinical faculty. So going back through those notes that collated for us so that we can kind of incorporate their feedback,
Hmm.
wanting them to feel valued and know that their voice matters in coming to
Yeah,
teach the course again. And so I hope they see that reflected in the next cycle of this course. It's kind of like a big continuous quality improvement
yeah,
project from our perspective, kind of looking at
right,
the big picture of the course on the course faculty and class side. But then the other thing is, I'm trying to think about who's going to need our support, right?
right.
Once we get that list of faculty, how can we best support them this semester? Because we know if we do that, we're going to set them up for success as well as our students. So
Right.
that's really big on my mind right now. And then just time and getting materials to people so that they can review them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like thinking of people who are new and who haven't, or just new to this level of student is really important. Um, so as a clinical faculty member, like my perspective is different, right? I'm not teaching the course. I will have a clinical group. So what I'm really thinking of right now is, I don't have my student group yet. I am trying to dig into, like, ideally at some point a syllabus is going to come out, so I get to understand the schedule, right? But I'm thinking of timing. When do I want to communicate to my students, right? And what do I want to get to them so that they understand what the first days and weeks are going to look like? What do they need to bring? What do they need? Because they are so nervous in the beginning, right? So I'm thinking of, I'm kind of in a holding pattern right now until the course professor says, here's all the stuff, right? Right now I'm like, okay, like I'm looking on the internet for YouTube videos on how to do this job, right?
Right.
So,
Has anyone come out with anything new that I can review before this
that's
next
right.
semester?
That's
Yes,
right.
to help me
Tips
set
and
myself up.
tricks. Yeah. So, but I'm really thinking of, I am thinking of like continuous improvement. What worked last semester that I haven't done before that I would really like to do again? Also looking back at feedback and I usually do some type of reflection, like quick notes at the end of a semester, like, hey, this worked really well. So starting to think about those things, but there's not a lot I can do until I have a syllabus and a clinical schedule. And then things kind of move fast, right? Because there's just only so many weeks before clinicals start, 1 month. Um,
Right.
so so that's kind of a lot of it is I can't do a lot until I have a syllabus and I have a roster. But then as soon as I get that roster, it's really nice to send a welcome message to my students so they can kind of take a breath and go, okay, this person is friendly and they're not going to be scary, right? So that's kind of where I am from a pre-planning standpoint right now.
Yeah, I think for me too, I always think about that welcome letter. I think about setting expectations and making sure that I'm really clear in introducing myself. And yes, I want to um, make sure that I'm setting a tone of being approachable, right? Because of the complex settings that we go into, I want them to approach me if they have a need, right? So starting to set that up, but also having very clear expectations. I think we've learned every year, and we'll be sharing more about like, every year we add something to that welcome letter, right? Because something
Yeah.
new always comes up that we learn from. And so that's always wonderful to share with other people. I know you always share those with new faculty. I also
Yeah.
think as a new faculty going to a new setting, I do that a lot. Like if the class starts and the first week the faculty's sick or something like that is going on, I will reach out to the nurse manager as soon as I know, and I'll say, "Can I come and shadow for an hour?" Because I haven't been to your unit before, or it's been a long
Yeah.
time since I've taught a clinical there. So I try to make sure that it works in my schedule and I block some time. So when I email the manager, I'll say, here are potential days I could come. Do any of these work?
Yeah.
Especially, if you have a longer period of time, like the 4 weeks we have right now,
Right.
you have a lot more ability to set that up. But it
Yeah.
is so nice to do that if I'm teaching on a unit that I'm unfamiliar with.
That's a really, really good point. Yeah. In fact, that kind of happened to me last semester. I didn't do that. I was like, I know this unit, and I rolled in there and found out that they'd completely, well, I didn't even roll in there, but just a few days before our clinical started, one of our mutual friend colleagues said, oh, by the way, the whole patient population changed on your unit, right? Now, I don't work on that unit as a nurse when I'm not teaching. So that's on me for not having connected with them. But it's a great point, like checking in with your unit, unless you were a nurse there every week, that the whole patient population didn't flip over the summer, right?
Right,
So
right.
quickly I had to kind of retool and go, oh, okay, well, it's okay. This is a learning opportunity for all of us to get to know this new patient population. And it was, but you're right. I caught a little bit like off guard of, ooh, okay.
Yeah, but that's so real. We have so much shifting in all the health
Yeah.
systems, just constant change.
Yeah. But
And so that's very real. I think another big piece of that I always think about is I learned really quickly when I go to a unit that I did not work on that I really needed to talk to the charge nurses and other nurses on the unit that could tell me, what do you expect of a clinical faculty?
yeah,
What
yeah,
do
yeah,
you
yeah.
expect of your students when they're here?
Right.
Because I want to make sure that we are being good guests, but I
Yes.
also want to make sure that my students are getting off on the right foot.
Yeah. Yeah. So important. Um, and I've asked that question before, and you'll get really kind of specific things like, we don't want you to be on all the computers, right? Good point, right? And that's not always intuitive to somebody. Um, but it's helpful to know, okay, if we're going to be good guests here, then we need to not take over all the space.
Hmm.
But getting to know the charge nurse. The other thing that's really helpful sometimes is um, seeing if they have a guideline document for travel nurses.
That's a
That's a
great
nice
one.
one to go, oh, okay, it's just like a quick here's when these things are expected on a unit. That's even helpful to give to your students sometimes. So even if it's a unit that I know, if they've got one of those that I know has been updated recently. That's a nice thing to put as part of an orientation document.
Hmm.
Um, I wanted to also just kind of set up our next episodes that we're going to do. So while we've got this kind of month of time as we plan, or, by the time this gets out or somebody watches it, it might not be a month any longer. But while we've got this time that we're in this holding pattern, I thought we could kind of dig in and go do kind of like a little mini series of topics to cover. So before we get into, okay, we are in the clinical semester. Um, so we've got four of them, I think we said. Um, the first one we'll do, so the next episode will really be about kind of the mindset shift and the scope of a clinical faculty versus being an RN and how that's different and what that means in a clinical day. So I think that's just a really helpful way to go like, oh, I'm going to take this hat off and I'm going to put on this other fun hat with a lot of glitter. It's different, right?
Hmm.
So we'll talk next time about mindset shift. What do we have after that?
Then looking at kind of the semester as a big picture
Right, right, right.
and all of the details that we need to have organized because we become the translators of information to our students,
Yeah.
especially when you've got novice learners that are not only learning about the course and what you're going to do in clinical, but they're also learning how to be a nursing student.
Hmm.
So really trying to set up that semester big picture is so important. So we'll spend some time on that.
Yeah. And then after that, we'll do a nice episode on getting really granular on a clinical day, how to organize a clinical day. When do you assign patients? How do you do this job? Right. I feel like that's like the really rubber hits the road kind of um, topic. And then after that, we'll talk about kind of special circumstances, we like to call them, but like, how do you give meds? And what do you do if a student passes out, right? Or there's like some type of critical incident. That's also a really good place to answer questions that people have. So, which leads us to ask us some questions, right?
Yes. It is so important. I mean, this is the perfect time. One of our goals is to share our pearls and to learn from others. So please ask us questions and we'd be happy to discuss them. Or if you have some suggestions as you
Yeah.
listen to us or things that have worked for you, we'd love for you to share them.
Yeah. Suggested topics. um, things that have worked. Those are all super helpful. Put them in the comments, and that'll help drive what we talk about here. So I'm so
Absolutely.
excited to be teaching in Scrubs with you.
I am so excited to be teaching in Scrubs with you. And, our listeners are going to get to know us really well. Again, I mean, that's half the fun is being in one of our debrief rooms, trying to put
Yeah,
together the next semester, or in our Zoom room, trying to kind of work through things or just stay a week ahead of everybody else.
yeah, right.
But having said that, also we want this to be a super authentic, conversational podcast, trying to share some, what we have tried. I am so all about sharing my failures and mistakes as well because sometimes they are so helpful for others that are kind of, trying to navigate this wonderful role.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and having said that, I think it's important too of, our editing is going to be to a minimum because I think we want to capture that early on. I mean,
right.
we are new and have been putting this together for a long time. And so I think it's so important that we are really authentic about our role here and our goals and happy to invite others along the way with us.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be fun. Okay. I'll see you next time.
All
Thanks.
right. Bye.